Please join me to welcome Mr. Husam Alaidy.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. يعطيكم العافية جميعا. And welcome today for this session about financial sustainability. Just to engage with you, I know I don't want to get you bored. It's financial sustainability, so some of you will say it's just a way to get through the credit. I just get that credit so I can graduate. So I don't want to do that. I want to interact with you. I want to make it something that's close to your heart. I'm not going to talk about only science. I'm going to talk about your future. I'm going to talk a little bit about the kingdom, and then I'm going to show you some examples of people who have graduated from this university and started working with us in our team. We have a lot of success stories during that. So just to engage, how many of you know that Saudi Arabia is going to host the World Cup 2034? By raise of hand. Not much. By raise of hand, I know all of you know about it. Okay, so how many of you know the name of the mascot for 2034 World Cup? The mascot, الدمية اللي حتمثل المملكة العربية السعودية في كأس العالم. Not much. Okay, it is a cat. What's the name? Who knows the name? Don't Google it. Okay, so I am just to grab your attention, I'm going to tell you the answer at the end of the session. So you just nobody sleeps over here. Okay. So my name is Husam Alaidy, as I was introduced now. I'm a partner at EY. I'll just start with the slide. Okay. So I'm a partner at EY. I've joined EY a year and a half before. I was the #1 employee of the financial sustainability back in 2022. Second employee is Faye Sliman, she's just arrived. So we are today 95 people working to help the kingdom with the financial sustainability agenda. And this is the topic that I will be explaining today. I'm going to explain what is financial sustainability, what do we offer to the market, and I'm going to introduce some of our team members as well. Now, when I first got that invitation, and Waleed actually, thank you Waleed for that, making the connection with the university. I worked with the university on many occasions before where I actually had a lot of internships around it. However, when Waleed spoke to me to come and do a lecture here, an executive lecture, first question I told him, what is an executive lecture? And he said, it's a lecture by an executive. So that was very straightforward explanation. So he's really good in explanation, and he's a graduate of Alfaisal. I told him that, listen, this is very interesting to me for 3 reasons. The reason #1 being that this is a way for me to give back to the society. I was born in Saudi Arabia, so I think that I should give back to the society, especially like a young generation that you have. Second of all, it's a way for me to practice public speaking. I'm not sure if I'm good at it or not, but it's a way to me to publicly speak in front of 100 people. And the last thing is that this is a good way to make you aware of what this solution is about, and you are a bunch of brilliant people in a brilliant university, and I think that you should have a motive to work in such a thing in the future as a consultant. So what do we do in financial sustainability? Financial sustainability really is about 3 pillars. I'm just going to go through the slides really quick. Maybe we'll share this later with you. Before that, let me introduce the team that actually graduated from Alfaisal. We are today 90 people in financial sustainability team. 9 of this team, so 10%, is actually from Alfaisal University graduates. Okay, so we have Mal Hinti, she's right there. We have Hajar Al-Ajan, who couldn't come today. Sarah Al-Hdayan, she's right there. Faye Sliman, of course, #1 employee in this solution. Noor Hassanin, who couldn't be today. Noor Saloom, Walid Al-Saif, who organized that, and Noor Al-Hinti as well, who I think she's not here today, but she's a current intern, and we just offered her an offer yesterday. So she started with us 6 months ago, and today she's an employee with us, and she's going to start in February, inshallah. So this is just like a motive for you to actually pay attention today. What is financial sustainability? I think many of you know about the Vision 2030, right? And you know about the National Transformation Program, and you know that there are a lot of programs from the National Transformation Program. Any one of you would care to mention a National Transformation Program that we have in Saudi Arabia? Just one name, anyone, randomly. برامج التحول الوطني. Anyone knows any برنامج من برامج التحول الوطني? برنامج جودة الحياة. Anyone heard of it? Okay, so there's a lot of programs around Vision 2030, we had three main strategic objectives: vibrant society, thriving economy, and ambitious nation. وطن طموح، اقتصاد مزدهر. ايوه يا سلام، مين اللي قاعد مزدهر؟ يا سلام، شايف الخريج فيصل. و vibrant society, which is بالعربي ايش؟ مجتمع حيوي. Okay, so under this there's a lot of programs that you can see them on the right. We focus on three programs. So the first one is called the Financial Sustainability Program. Okay, the first one, the Fiscal Sustainability Program, برنامج التوازن المالي. The second one is the privatization program, برنامج التخصيص, which is to privatize, so you move from owning a service or a business from the government to the private sector. And the last one is the National Industrial Development and Logistics Program, which is really about the local content, which I'll be speaking about today. These three programs is what we focus on. The rest, which are not highlighted here, are the rest of the programs. You really need to read about this if you want to become a consultant later on, because everything we do is really revolving around this in the consulting agenda. Okay, so the National Transformation Program has a lot of ambitious goals that they need to achieve within 2030. Some of them are already achieved. I think you saw a lot of documentaries around this in the media. And some of them are halfway. We are just halfway our vision, by the way. So we still, all what we did right now in Saudi Arabia is only half the way. We just half the way. So we still are going to witness in the next 7 years exactly what we witnessed in the last 7 years, or even more, because we're accelerating. So we need to look at this in an ambitious way, and we need to know what we need to achieve this. You cannot achieve this without a financial sustainability agenda. Why? Because everything needs money, as simple as that. If you're in a university, you want to get to a lecture, you pay money to get here, right? If you want to go and do a new stadium for the World Cup, you need money to do that. So you need to have a financial sustainability, and financial sustainability constitutes of three main things. First thing is to reduce the costs. So we're looking at how to reduce the costs, how to make whatever we pay more efficient. So it means يعني تضع الريال في المكان الصحيح. So you look at, it's not about reduction of the cost only, it's also looking at that real that you pay and you get the maximum out of it. Second one is the revenue development. So as you actually have witnessed in the last 7 years, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia started to actually implement something called non-oil revenue. What does a non-oil revenue mean? It means that I'm trying to be sustainable by getting revenue from something that is not oil-based. So it's not only neft. I'm also looking at different revenue streams like, I don't know, taxes, revenue for التراخيص والتصاريح, investments, and all of these sort of things. And privatization also. I'm sure many of you have heard about privatization, التخصيص, and what is happening and the agenda of privatization in Saudi Arabia, especially in the health sector and educational sector. Many of the universities in Saudi Arabia will move to be just like Alfaisal, completely to spin off from the university, from the Ministry of Education. So these are the things that we look at. There are a lot of services here that I'm not going to go through and bore you with it. I'm just going to go and skip to the most interesting part and try to focus on the things that will matter. We are acting as I'll go to the next slide. We're acting as a mediator between the government agencies and what the government wants. So I'll just explain it in the next one. I spoke about this, so the increase in spending efficiency is باختصار الريال في المكان الصحيح. Diversifying in non-oil revenue is we don't want the kingdom to actually rely only on oil. Stimulating the private sector, so you're trying to get the private sector to do what they are good at in a profitable way. And nurturing the local content. Anyone knows what local content is? Do you know المحتوى المحلي? Any one of you saw it in the streets, all this campaign around المحتوى المحلي, أنت المحتوى المحلي, تعظيم المحتوى المحلي. Any of you saw it in the streets? Raise a hand. No? A couple there. Okay, good. They're not doing a very good campaign then. We need to get this back to them as feedback. So المحتوى المحلي, we'll come to it in a slide in a minute. So that's what I was saying. We are going to mediate as a financial sustainability team, as EY, or as any other consulting company for that matter. We will convey whatever the government wants in its programs and its strategic objectives to the government agencies and the government-owned companies. Okay, so there's a lot of interaction here, and this is where us as a consultant comes in, and we actually go and try to help these government agencies to get to the mandate that the government has set, to the strategic objective that they have set, and this way we help the government reach its ambitious goals of 2030 in these 3 or 4 main programs. Okay, so if we look at different services that we do, I'll just give certain examples of what you actually do, right? So a government agency is suffering because its income is much less than its budget. So they want actually more money than they can actually get. Then we come in, we look at the plan, we look at what we can do on cost level, we look at if we can review their procurement, if we can look at the human capital, what can be done on a human capital level. Are they, can we actually reduce the human capital, or maybe increase the efficiency of human capital, or maybe change on the manpower planning and what we need to hire in the next years, and all of these things. Also, we look at the revenue. So we come in and say, how many services do you have? If you have any idea that we can privatize, we can, you know, instead of taking the cost, we can just give it to the private sector, and the private sector would do the service, and then we can actually benefit from it by splitting the revenue. So we share the revenue with them. So this is something that we do, some of the services that we do. Also, another thing about local content, because, you know, it is very important that our economy continues to have most of its, you know, dynamics within Saudi Arabia. So to reduce the logistics risks, to de-risk the supply chain, we're trying to get most of the procurement to be done locally. It's not possible to have all of that, but we have different targets on different things. So if we have, for example, we have something called the mandatory list, where we increase or we mandate people to actually buy from local manufacturers. I'll give an example. Anything around furniture. Now, any government agency cannot buy imported furniture. It has to be made in Saudi Arabia, otherwise they will not buy from them. So these are the things that we look at to make it more sustainable from a financial perspective. These are different services that we do. I'm not going to go through all of them, but however, it's a good sample of what we do, just to get you intrigued. So EY is working on these, this mesh of actually connecting the government agencies to the different kitchens. On the left side, we call them kitchens because these are government agencies as well. However, they are coming up with the different strategic goals that they need to achieve, and then they just give it as a mandate to the 400 government agencies, and we come in the middle and we translate. Think of it as a translation and operational support to these agencies. Okay, let's look at the overview, okay? So in EY, we are a big company. We're almost 6,000 people, by the way. In Saudi Arabia, we're about 2,000 people. We are actually having, I don't have a pointer, but it's up there. So we have a tax, the SAT, which is strategy and transactions, and then consulting, and then assurance. We sit in assurance as a team. So financial sustainability is under assurance. Under assurance, there's something called FAS, which is financial advisory services. So we are sitting under that team. It's a big team of around 1,000 people. We are sitting there with 90 people. I and my friend and partner, Fadil Khatib, is actually leading this across MENA. When we say MENA, I know you're not asking questions, but MENA is Middle East and North Africa. So that I know that consultants have that habit of abbreviating everything. I know that's we're guilty as charged. So if there are some abbreviations here that are not clear, just raise your hand and ask a question. So MENA is Middle East and North Africa. So we and EY, we work as one team across all these 17 offices: Jordan, Lebanon, Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi, Egypt, and all these countries are all working as one P&L, and we're working as one team. As I said, we're more than 6,000 people working here. 95 of them is in this team. I would like to talk about the dynamics in a minute of the team and the demographics that we have in the team. Just to let you know more about it. Okay, so this is the team. This is the 90 people we have. I'm not sure if we have everyone here, but this is the 90 people we have. If you ask me what really is special about this team, I'll tell you it's demography. It's really special because this team is working in financial sector. However, 60% are engineers, 60% are females, and 80% are nationals. So we are one of the highest national teams in the kingdom. We are one of the highest teams from female agenda, and we are also working as engineers in the financial sector, which is very important to us because what we do is, okay, financial advice. It's a financial service. However, it's an engineering sense-driven financial service. So we need to keep that engineering blood coming in. I'm an engineer myself, so I'm a little bit biased. So you have to bear with me in this meeting today. However, this team is very vibrant, and they have one very nice community. As I said, 80% are nationals, and we are trying to diversify what they do. If you look at every one of them, they have a green dot next to them, or a red dot, or a blue dot. That means it's the number of topics that they actually worked on before. So you can see some of them, like their Ghadar Bi'an, for example, she has worked on the 3 of them. What we're trying to do, and this is why I'm telling you it's interesting to work for EY, it's really interesting to work for this team, is that we're trying to rotate the people to actually work on all agendas so that they have a better understanding of the financial sustainability agenda. So this is the team I'm proud of, and I'm proudly introduced part of them today. Again, in spending efficiency, we are focusing on working with the Center of Government on spending efficiency strategies. So I'll just go through it right away. Yeah, there. Okay, so in spending efficiency, we're trying to work with the Center of Government on different agendas. And today, I just took 3 examples of what we did in the past, just to make it practical to you, so you understand what we actually do. What I just said is all financial, very nice consulting words. Today, we're gonna show you more real examples of things that you have seen in Saudi Arabia that we actually worked on as a team. Of course, when I say we, it doesn't mean we as consultants. We also mean that the government is actually working with us. So it's a project, of course, it's awarded to us. However, we always work together. So that's what's nice about the Saudi government right now, is that the Saudi government employees are really different from 15 years ago. They are really into it. They're really ambitious. They really want to do what they really need to do to reach their 2030 vision ambition, okay? So I selected 3. So I'm gonna talk about the financial impact of services on non-profit sector really fast. And then we're gonna talk about the impact of financial framework agreements. I'm gonna explain what framework agreements is, and I'll tell you the impact about it. And the last one is about the digitization of the government services and its impact on the assets of the government. Okay. We'll start right away here with the documenting of the impact of digital transformation. Okay, so how many of you have renewed their passport in the last 5 years? All of you should, come on. 5 years, of course. It's the validity of the passport. Everyone has renewed it before. So if you have renewed your passport in the last 5 years, you have definitely seen the difference from renewing it 15 years ago, right? Really different. It's shorter, it's faster, it's more efficient. Everybody's happy about it. Everybody's happy about it. The government, because they're making more money. The people, because it's faster and that's not a burden anymore. And even you know, the different government agencies, because the passport itself is not only by Jawazat. It has to go through a different process with other agencies. So we actually have a long journey, a process that needs to be done. And in the last 5 years, there have been a lot of services that have been digitized. I know that now, you know, even you can do قضية ترافع قضية online. You just go to Teams, and you know the judge will come in. It's like, what's your problem? What's your problem? And then he will give, of course, not with the major things. So not if somebody kills someone or something. However, if it's something minor, you still can do it on Teams. It's something that has been driven by the digitization around the world, the data and the AI and all of the crazy things that we see happening around us. However, the government has been doing amazingly on digitization of its services, like the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Exterior, all of that. However, they haven't been doing good on what happens next. So, for example, you go to Ministry of Justice, okay? There used to be Katib, who actually writes down what happens. Now they're using technology to write that down. They don't need people anymore. So what the government does is they digitize this very nicely, but they did not say what to do with this guy. He's just sitting there doing nothing. He has a job, he gets paid, but he's not doing anything. I'm not saying fire him, but what I'm saying is that you need to look for how to increase his capability and to put him on another job. There's a lot of other jobs that needs to be done. So that's one thing. Second thing is that you don't need to go to the branch anymore, okay? Let's go to the passport. You don't go to the branch anymore. You just apply online, it comes through the mail, that's it. So the branch is not needed anymore. So also if you've done an istimara from a car, if you actually go there, they will not let you in. They will tell you, go apply online. We don't get it physical unless there's a problem. So the branches that are extra needs to be dealt with, right? There's a lot of buildings around the kingdom, not only Riyadh, all the kingdom. There's a lot of buildings that we need to take care of. Also, another thing is, when we unified the process between the different entities, we digitized it between different entities. What happened is that the different entities will have extra capacity from an infrastructure point of view. If you look at, let's look at, if you want تأشيرة خدامة, for example. It's done through Ministry of الموارد البشرية, Ministry MHRSD, so Ministry of Human Resources. However, it's interacting with a lot of other, so like الخارجية to get the visa, like الجوازات والداخلية to do the إقامة and all of that. So all of these used to have their own infrastructure, their own systems, their own technology, their own licenses, their own computers, their own technology-related items. Now, when you combine all of them together, you only need one. What do you do with the extra? So this is what we did here. We actually went to all the government agencies. We worked with the with His Excellence, the Minister of Communication, to actually look at the surplus of technology and surplus of branches as well. We worked on Expo on that. And we came up with the studies where we said, you need to close this branch and you need to invest it somewhere else. You can see, if any of you passed by Tahliya Street before, you can see there's a very nice building on the Taqatu' that it used to be a school, by the way. So this building, they said that this building is extra, so we need to invest it. And they did something, another government agency took it and it did a very nice building right there. So the school itself at that time was redundant. Why? Because it's a school on one of the most expensive streets in the world, maybe, Tahliya Street. But you're still doing it for a school. You just push it back for like 2 blocks and then you can actually invest this and get more money out of it, and the students are the same, just moving 2 blocks down the road. So there's a lot of things that we looked at from branches perspective, from technology perspective, and we came up with the studies to make the government more efficient from a spending perspective. So this is what we did in this case. It was a very nice project. It actually involved more than one entity in Saudi Arabia, centrally and non-centrally. A lot of ministers, a lot of very high-level people, and we actually closed these two projects with the help of some of the people who are sitting right there from Alfaisal University. We actually closed this very successfully, and the impact was really, really good. We closed a lot of branches. We actually even changed the policy on what to do with the surplus of licenses and laptops. Okay. All right. On the second case I have is the impact of the framework agreement. So, what is a framework agreement? Simply put, it's an agreement between a supplier and an entity with no commitment. So I say I contract with Al-Abikan to give me, for example, notebooks, right? They want to give me notebooks. I don't say how many notebooks. I only say how much the notebook is. But I don't say how many. I don't say how much I'm going to buy. I'm just going to contract with you to make that channel open, right? Every time I need a notebook, I will send you an order, and you send me 1 notebook, I pay you the money. So really fast, right? In this one, we actually reduced the time to buy in the government from 90 days to 2. From 90 to 2. 90 days. It used to take 90 days. It's a very long process. A lot of approvals, a lot of paperwork. Now, it's in a system called Souq Electroni. You just go there, you click, I want this supplier, I want it from Jarir, just like Amazon. How long does it take you to buy from Amazon? 15 seconds? 30 seconds, if you know what you want, of course. I know some ladies up there will not know what they want, so it'll take them like 3 hours to get that. But however, it's really about getting the process really fast. You need to look at what is the impact of that. The process is faster, less people are involved in it, and you actually get a better quality with a lot of diversification in your suppliers. So you don't have to buy from Abikan, you can buy from Abikan, you can buy from Shigri, you can buy from Jarir, Abu Mu'ti, you have a lot of libraries that you can buy from. So this is what we did here, is we created the framework agreements. It's an agreement with no commitment, and then every time I want to buy, I just go through it. What we did is we really looked at the impact and the financial impact of that. For last year, it was 2 billion riyals of only 12 framework agreements. 2 billion, not million, 2 billion. So 2,000 million, okay? So that was what happened last year. from framework agreements. It's huge. The government is paying a lot of money to procure a lot of stuff. So this is a very important initiative. It started back in 2018, but they just did the impact analysis of it this year, or last year actually, 2022. So the thing is here is that we helped as a team in developing what is the difference on a unit cost. I don't have a pointer, but if you look at the bar right there, the unit cost actually went down. So a notebook, if you buy it in the old way, is actually more expensive as a notebook, not the process, if you compare it to buying it with a framework agreement. It goes down. Why? Because me as a supplier will tell you, I know you'll be buying millions of notebooks from me, so I'm going to give you a very good price. And also, you're going to pay me in 2 days. That's amazing. You know, a lot of things that we face with the government is that the government is really slow in payment. But when you pay me in 2 days, that's, you know, it's, you know, I will not put interest on you. I will not think about the financing and all of that. So this is another case study that we did. I'm going to go to the third and final case study that I have for today. After that, I might go for some questions and to close on it. It's the nonprofit sector. So this is about the nonprofit sector. As you know, maybe the government of Saudi Arabia is not really yet mature on the nonprofit sector. Most of the nonprofit is actually charity, which is not the case. So nonprofit actually is a lot of things other than charity. It's not only جمعيات خيرية, so it's also about القطاع غير الربحي. I'll tell you something. Rolex is a non-profit organization. IKEA is a non-profit organization. So there's a very, very big agenda for the non-profit, and the Saudi Arabia is really doing really good on that. They changed the regulation. They changed the way that they are doing the business with them. They actually give them a lot of tax exclusions and a lot of you know, process exemptions. The non-profit has been growing very fast and very, very, very strongly in the last 3 years. So we're working currently with an entity called مركز تنمية القطاع غير الربحي. So it's a national center for non-profit organizations. And we're looking at how is this sector reducing the bill for Saudi Arabia. Okay? So instead of me, for example, going, let's look at هيئة الترفيه. Yeah? Let's look at موسم الرياض. Have you seen that most of the people working in موسم الرياض are actually متطوعين, so they're volunteers, right? So if you did not have volunteers, what would happen? You'd have to hire somebody to come and do the job, and you know the wages are expensive, and there's a lot of things that you need to take care of from an expense perspective. If you do it through volunteering, if you log into Abshir today, you will find a tag next to your name saying عدد ساعات تطوع, right? And I think also in the university you need to, yeah. So in the university you need to have some volunteering hours to get to graduate actually. So that's also a very important thing that the government is pushing forward to, because it has a very good economical impact. We are helping them in doing the studies to do that economical impact. We see what if cost, what is the cost if we did not have non-profit organizations. And then we look at what is the difference between the cost that we have today and the what if cost, and we do the impact analysis. That actually will allow us to take this money and reinvest it in the non-profit sector. So if, for example, if we said that the value for non-profit organizations in a Tarfih agenda is, I don't know, 600 million riyals, okay? Then we take that money, we said, government, you should have paid that money, but now you're not going to pay it. The non-profit is going to do it. So we take it and give it to the non-profit so that they can improve themselves and they can actually have better capabilities. The government is actually looking at going for 4% of the national GDP, okay, from non-profit. You know what is it today? It's 0.2%, 0.2 only. So they need more than, I don't know, 20 times what they have today. So it's going to be a big agenda. It's going to be a lot of things happening there. So they need to invest in that sector. If you look at countries that have really developed in that area, like Australia, like Japan, like maybe the United States, not so much. They're really good, and they're really depending on the non-profit sector. So if there's a non-profit sector that collapses, the economy becomes very impacted. So that's the gist of what's happening here on the non-profit sector. What we do is that we study the impact of that. So these are three different case studies that we had that we actually working on. I actually stated there that it's still in progress, so we're still working on that. The project's not concluded. Finally, I'm just going to give a final message before I leave it to the Q&A, and then maybe I give you an early pass out. I know you students love that. So the message is the government is working on a very, very huge, ambitious, strategic يعني agenda. And a lot of this has to happen with collaboration with the private sector. Consulting firms are part of the private sector, and they are helping in that. If you ask me, how do I build teams? I built a team in my previous company around 50 people. Today I have 95, almost 95 people. If you ask me, what do I build it around? I'll tell you, I build it around ambition. I'll build it around pride. Because everything you do, you have to be proud about. It's not a bunch of paper that you put in and you just put the study and nobody uses it. What we do in financial sustainability is very tangible, and you can feel proud about it. I can feel proud about a lot of contracts that I reviewed in my past, a lot of initiatives I worked on, and I saw it in myself. Last time I worked on an initiative that's so light, and I just celebrated it last year. We developed I don't know if you actually went and visited the Ben Ali Foundation. It's a big cultural, it was in Diriyah. It's a big cultural museum that was around the contemporary art. We worked on developing the operating model for them. You cannot imagine the type of pride you have when you actually visit the place, when it's actually happening. So my message is you need to be proud about the kingdom and what the kingdom is doing, because this is only half the journey. We only halfway. You will still have another half, and we're really ambitious about it. You need to really be proud about it. You need to really be ambitious about it. And if you want to later on come and work for the team, you're going to be working with a team that is really ambitious and is really proud about what they deliver. They're not doing it as a job, and I can assure you that most of our people are not delivering this as a job to get paid. It's not their only reason. I think they have 3 or 4 reasons before the pay, and then the pay comes back. This is a culture that I drive within the team, and I would love to continue to do that by actually listening to your questions, and actually if somebody wants to come later on and speak to me, you can add me on LinkedIn or like that. We are taking interns every semester from Alfaisal University, and I think Alfaisal University is one of the best universities, and I'm not just giving a compliment, I really believe that. And just to let you know, it is the highest population in my team. So it's 10% from Faisal University. So that's the top. So you are one of the best universities in Saudi Arabia, and there's a reason for that. I'll be more than happy to speak to any one of you later on and answer any questions, and as well if you still have your internship and you want to join us in EY. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer you guys. Maha, any questions? EY team, any questions? They know, so they're not going to ask about it, I think. Yeah, okay, great.
Thank you for your talk. I want to ask, what are the benefits of the non-profit organization, and how does it affect the economy?
Okay, great. Why do we rely on non-profit organization? Why are we just going to keep it private sector and government sector and that's it? Why do we go to the non-profit? The non-profit is driven by non-profit. So, by one thing, the most important thing is it's more efficient, because they will not put the profit in. So they will look in how to reinvest what they do back into their organizations without making any profit. So it's more efficient. That's number one. Second of all, there's in Saudi Arabia, especially in Islamic countries, there's a very important driver that comes from having charity and loving each other and all of that. Also, the non-profit sectors will act, according to studies, will act much better under difficult economical situations. So when Corona comes in, most of the countries around the world will actually relied on non-profit sector, because they're not after profit. They're doing it for other reasons. So this is very important. Other thing is non-profit sector is also a much better by benchmark when it comes to certain services. I'll give an example. Orphanage, Dar Aitam. It's much better when it's driven by non-profit, because it's something that you want to deliver to the community. Most of the community services has to be non-profit organizations. In Saudi Arabia, it's not like that anymore. It's not like that until now. It's going to be like that in like a couple of years, I think. Around the world, the benchmark says that these services need to be done by non-profit organizations, because they are driven by the value of what they do. So they are actually driven by, if it's an orphanage, by actually giving back to the society and taking care of other people who don't have parents and all of that. rather than, if I don't make 15% profit, I'm not gonna, bid for this and increase the price, and more pressure on the economy of Saudi Arabia. So these are the main things that I have from top of my head, but also, of course, you can read more about it. That's your first question. Do you have a second question? I believe. Great. There was a question up there as well. Somebody raised his hand. Same question. Amazing. So non-profit is the topic of interest. Any questions from the ladies up there? No? We have 60% females, so I'm just, they always ask questions, these guys. So, yeah. Okay, so no more questions? يعطيكم العافية. Thank you very much for your time.